The violent pounding on my front door made my daughter jump. Before I could even reach the handle, the lock clicked and the door slowly swung open. Someone had unlocked it from the outside. Standing there was Karen from the HOA, holding up a shiny key like she owned the place. "This is my neighborhood and you're trespassing," she barked. My blood boiled, but I forced myself to stay calm. She stepped inside without permission, scanning the house like a landlord conducting an inspection. "Pack your things," she said coldly. "You're done here." Then, like it was all part of a script, she yanked out her phone and shouted, "Officer, get over here right now. Arrest him for breaking into this house." I froze. She had actually called the cops standing inside my own home. My little girl grabbed my arm, her voice shaking. "Dad, what's happening?" I leaned down and whispered back, "It's okay, sweetheart. She doesn't know the truth." Within minutes, a squad car pulled up outside. My stomach tightened as a uniformed officer approached, his expression serious. Karen smirked and shoved the key toward him. "See? Proof he broke in." I caught him red-handed. The officer didn't respond right away. Instead, the sound of boots on hardwood echoed behind me. Karen's face twitched. My wife stepped out from the kitchen still in her police uniform, badge catching the porch light. Karen's voice cracked. "What is this?" In that instant, everything changed. Karen's mouth opened and closed, like she couldn't get the words out. Then she forced herself back into attack mode. "She's faking it. That badge isn't real. Don't let them trick you, officer." My wife didn't flinch. She stepped forward calmly, her presence filling the doorway. "Ma'am, I'm with the department, and unless you want to be charged with unlawful entry, I suggest you step outside now." The officer glanced at my wife's badge. I saw the recognition, the respect in his eyes. His hand dropped from his holster. Karen's confidence wavered for the first time. She waved the key like a weapon. "This proves everything. He doesn't live here. This house belongs to the HOA, and we decide who stays." I stepped forward, keeping my voice steady even though my hands were shaking. "Funny thing about that key," I said. "It's mine. You copied it without permission, didn't you?" Her face went pale, but instead of backing down, she lashed out. "Arrest him. Arrest both of them. They're liars. This whole family is breaking the rules." My wife slowly pulled out her radio, never taking her eyes off Karen. "Dispatch. I may need backup for an HOA board member trespassing with a stolen key." The officer's jaw tightened. Karen's bravado cracked. "Wait, you don't understand. I was just trying to keep order." But everyone could see it now. The fake authority, the entitlement, the lies unraveling in real time. Karen's eyes darted between me, my wife, and the officer like she'd suddenly trapped herself in her own scheme. Then she forced a loud, fake laugh. "You think you're clever? You think wearing a costume makes you powerful? This entire neighborhood answers to me." The officer frowned. "Ma'am, calm down." She didn't. She pulled a folded paper from her bag and slammed it against my chest. "Official HOA notice. You have 72 hours to leave or we seize the property." I picked it up slowly, scanning the page. No stamp, no signature, no attorney letterhead, just typed lines with HOA slapped across the top in bold. "This is fake," I said quietly, holding it up so the officer could see. "Completely fake." Karen's smile froze, then she scrambled. No, it's real. I run the HOA. I make the rules." My wife's voice cut through her like steel. "Then you'll have no problem explaining this forgery downtown." Karen's hand trembled, but she shouted louder to hide it. "You can't touch me. I already called backup." She turned and waved frantically toward the street. That's when I saw them, two men in cheap uniforms walking up the driveway. Badges that didn't match. Belts with no real equipment. Fake cops. Karen pointed at me, triumphant. "There, arrest him now. This fraud is over." My daughter squeezed my hand tighter, fear in her eyes, but deep down, I couldn't help but smirk because Karen had just made the biggest mistake of her life. The two so-called officers strutted up the driveway, their fake badges flashing under the porch light. At first glance, they might fool someone, but the moment my wife's eyes locked onto them, I knew it was over. She tilted her head, calm and razor sharp. Badges out, they hesitated, glancing at each other. Karen jumped in, shrieking, "Don't just stand there. Do your job and take him out of my house." The taller one puffed up his chest and glared at me. "Sir, you're under arrest for trespassing." Cut him off. "Do you even know the address you're standing on?" My wife stepped forward, her voice louder now. "Enough. Those aren't real officers. You're impersonating law enforcement. That's a felony." The real officer snapped his head toward them, his hand returning to his weapon. "Is that true?" The fake cops froze. We were private security." "Private security doesn't wear police uniforms," my wife shot back. "And they don't arrest people in their own homes." Karen panicked. She grabbed the taller fake cop's arm and hissed, "Don't let her intimidate you. Arrest them now or you'll lose your job." The shorter one went pale. He whispered something to his partner, then slowly started backing away. Wife's radio crackled. "Unit 7, back up en route. ETA 3 minutes. Karen's smirk finally collapsed into fear. "Wait, no, this is a misunderstanding. They work for me. It's all legal." The real officer's expression hardened. "Ma'am, you just crossed a line you can't walk back." And in that moment, it hit me, Karen wasn't just about to lose her fake authority. She was about to feel real steel on her wrists. Red and blue lights washed over the street as another patrol car screeched to a stop. Neighbors spilled onto their porches, phones raised, whispers spreading like wildfire. Karen stiffened, her carefully crafted image cracking under the weight of all those watching eyes. The backup officers moved fast. My wife stepped in immediately, calm and precise as she briefed them. 2 suspects impersonating law enforcement. 1 HOA board member trespassing and attempting an unlawful eviction. Karen shook her head violently. "No, they're lying. This man is squatting in my community, and she's covering for him because she's his wife." She turned to the neighbors, desperation bleeding into her voice. "You all know me. I run this place. You trust me, not them." But no one nodded. A man across the street shouted, "You towed my truck last month for no reason." Another woman yelled, "You fined me for planting flowers in my own yard." One voice became many. Years of fear finally broke loose. Karen's eyes darted wildly as her power slipped through her fingers. The taller fake cop bolted, but 2 officers slammed him to the pavement instantly. The shorter one dropped his plastic badge and raised his hands. "I didn't sign up for this," he muttered. Karen staggered backward, her voice cracking. "This is harassment. I'm the victim here. They're dangerous." She pointed at me and my wife, her last attempt to regain control. That's when my wife calmly reached into her pocket and pulled out a small USB drive, holding it up for everyone to see. "Everything's on here," she said evenly. Security footage, forged notices, recorded threats. She met Karen's eyes. "You're done." The crowd gasped. Karen had no idea. We'd been documenting everything all along. The color drained from her face as the USB caught the porch light. You were spying on me?" she stammered. My wife didn't blink. "No, we were protecting ourselves. Every fake notice, every threat, every made-up rule, it's all on video." Laughter rippled through the crowd. Phones kept recording. "So much for the HOA queen," someone called out. "Guess the rules don't work when the camera's on," another laughed. Karen spun in place, pointing at people like she was drowning. "You owe me respect. Without me, this neighborhood would be chaos." A real officer stepped forward, voice firm. "Ma'am, you're under arrest for trespassing, attempted unlawful eviction, and conspiracy with individuals impersonating law enforcement." Karen shrieked and lunged at me. "This is his fault. If he just left, none of this would have happened." She grabbed my shirt, but my wife moved instantly, twisting Karen's wrist just enough to make her stumble. Click. The cuffs locked shut. The crowd gasped like it was the final blow in a long fight. Karen screamed as officers led her toward the cruiser. "You can't do this to me. I own this neighborhood." I leaned in just enough to whisper, "Not anymore." For once, she had nothing to say. Karen thrashed in the back seat, her voice muffled behind glass as neighbors filmed every second. Years of fines, threats, and intimidation collapsed into one public reckoning. The taller fake cop yelled from the curb, face pressed to the hood of a cruiser. She paid us. Said it was legal. The shorter one nodded frantically. We thought it was just security work. Karen snapped toward the eyes feral. Shut up. Don't drag me into this. But it was too late. A neighbor lowered his phone and looked at me. Man, we thought you were just quiet. We didn't know your wife was a cop. I smiled faintly. She doesn't wear the badge at home. But tonight, she had to. My wife turned to the officer. I'll bring the full case file tomorrow. Emails, footage, witness statements. She's been running this HOA like a personal kingdom. The officer nodded. Then it ends here. The cruiser door slammed. Karen's screams faded as they drove away. For the first time in months, the street felt still. My daughter squeezed my hand. Dad, is she gone for good? I knelt and brushed a tear from her cheek. Yes, sweetheart. She won't scare anyone ever again. And I knew this wasn't just about one woman. It was about every bully who thought they could drive families off their own land. Morning sunlight spilled across the neighborhood. Neighbors stood together smiling, waving, sharing coffee like old friends. Fear had been replaced with relief. And something stronger. An elderly man shook my hand firmly. Son, served 2 tours overseas. Watching you stand your ground tonight that mattered. I looked at my daughter, then my wife, and felt something settle deep in my chest. This wasn't just about us. It was about truth, proof, and the law. I wrapped my arm around my wife. I didn't fight for this country just to be told I can't live in my own home. The flag at the corner of the street rippled in the breeze, and for the first time in a long while, the whole block remembered what freedom actually looks like.